Welcome to Scrollin, episode number 78. I'm Ket. Joining me as always, or as usual, I should say, the Thane of Pain himself, Davius Starjumper. What's going on, man?
How's it going?
It's going good. Welcome back. It's been a long time.
Yeah. I feel like it's been a minute. It has been a minute.
I think it has been 1 month since our last episode. We skipped an episode, and it seems like it's been an eternity.
Well, we skipped an episode, but then I was out the episode before that, right? So I've actually missed.
I feel like you were here on the last one, but not the one before that.
Oh, did I miss one? So I missed one, came back.
And then missed another one. And then we both missed the next one, yeah. I think that's how it went, but I'll have to go back and now you got me.
I trust your memory over mine.
So yeah, it's been a solid month since our last episode. I'm really happy to be back. I've been back into ESO, people. Let me tell you. Like the last couple episodes, I know I was talking about, Elden Ring, and that's kind of what's got my attention. I think at this point I've more or less had my fill of Elden Ring. Amazing game. Everyone play Elden Ring. Incredible game. But, I beat the story. I did a bunch of the PvP. Super fun. I'll probably keep dipping back in and out of it, but I feel like I've kind of been sated at this point. And so for the last 3 weeks, man, I've just been right back into those BGs, putting builds together. I've even made some YouTube videos, which I hadn't done in a really long time.
Nice. It's just a good old ESO, there's no ending, no ending in sight. The grind continues, and, you have moments where, you step back, but it's always there. It's always there when you need to come back.
Taking these breaks like this is always nice. That's probably the longest break. I think it was like a solid 2 months where I was like really not playing ESO at all. But taking those breaks is nice, and you come back and it feels fresh again, and you remember like what's so great about ESO, like what made me fall in love with this game in the first place. Like it really is a very unique game. The combat system, you can't get this combat system anywhere else. If this is what you like, this is the only place to get it. We were getting kind of negative on it there for a little bit because, I think for some good reasons, but
sure.
There's been some good reasons to be positive here lately. And honestly, I think things are looking really hopeful. We'll talk about it here in just a little while, but Cyrodiil is fixed.
Ooh.
I mean, that's just one aspect of the game, but it's had a massive impact, I think, on just like player morale, especially in the PvP community. Yeah. Crimson in the chat is saying, what? With like 1,000 question marks? Yeah. I still can't believe it myself. Like it's been, I think, over a month now, and Cyrodiil is fixed.
Yeah, I mean that's been a discussion since I feel like like the early days where it's like if they could just fix this thing.
It's been 6 years since Cyrodiil was playable. Seriously, it was. I'm pretty sure the one Tamriel update is what broke Cyrodiil, and it's been since then since we've had a playable Cyrodiil. Yeah, Crimson, believe it. We'll talk about it a little bit later, but believe it. Let's get into some High Isle talk. So the High Isle chapter, it's live now on PC. Consoles still have another couple of weeks to wait, but on PC it's here. It has arrived. So I thought we could do a little bit of a High Isle feature roundup, just kind of a recap of all the new stuff that we're getting here or that we have now. And we logged in a little bit. We've looked around at some things and explored some things, so we'll have some thoughts to share along the way.
We dabbled.
I forgot, Crimson in the chat says that she forgot to buy High Isle. I also forgot until the day that it dropped. Like yesterday is when I bought it and then installed it right away. So anyway, feature roundup. Of course, we got the new zone with the story content and all that. And there, the zone is surprisingly big. Like you look at it on the map and it's really, really tiny looking compared to everything else. But once you actually port in and start running around, it's a pretty enormous zone, actually. Really, really big.
It's good old Elder Scrolls geography. Yeah. Like, oh, look at this tiny little island. And then you go there and you're like, oh, gosh.
Yeah. I thought the zone, I've talked about my opinions on the zone before. I do think it's pretty bland and pretty basic looking zone. It's not really exciting and awesome looking the way like Somerset is and that sort of stuff. But it is laid out nicely. Like if I'm looking for positive things to say, it's laid out in a nice way. It has the thing that kind of all their kind of more modern zones have, where there's multiple different pathways and kind of ways of getting around. And I always appreciate that, where you see like this little secret path off to the side that's like a little shortcut that, of course they intended for you to see that, but it feels like you found a secret or something like that.
Yeah, that's probably what I would say about it, is that it's kind of your standard, it's not like an exotic zone. Like there's not like crazy colors or anything. You got your rocks and your green, your trees. It's pretty standard a biome, if you will. Mm-hmm. But what really is nice about it is the detail that they put into the zones now. Like I was running through it, and you're right, it's nothing. Kind of seems harsh, but it's not like a super unique zone. Like you're not seeing like this really unique. It's kind of a standard setting, but it is very detailed, and there's a lot, a lot of plants, a lot of trees, a lot of rocks, and like you said, the zones. And so I do like the detail. A lot of sunflowers.
Lot of sunflowers.
The one thing I would say is, and maybe you hopped in today and saw it, but when we hopped in last night and it was dark and rainy. I would love to see the zone in some sunshine. And
yeah.
I feel like I'd feel a lot better about it if I could see some sunshine or see it in some light.
We logged on during prime time last night. Like, all right, let's see this new zone. And yeah, it was all like overcast and dark and raining the entire time we were playing. It's like, I'm sure it's a lot prettier if the sun ever comes out, but it just never did. Anyway, there's a new zone. I've barely kind of scratched the surface of exploring it. I've played I've done a handful of small quests, and I've ran around just a little bit. Probably by the time we have the next episode, I probably will have finished the main story. I'm guessing, I'm hoping.
Ooh, that's a bold claim.
Yeah.
Bold claim.
Story so far, they've really been pushing the story and the writing, and that's kind of, as far as the marketing goes, they're all about, get ready for the writing, guys. It's all about the story and intrigue and all that. I'm just now getting into it. So far, the story is some ships have disappeared. So we'll see where that takes us. So who knows where that could go, though. But we already know they kind of already set some expectations about, it's not going to be some major end of the world sort of thing. It's all going to be very political in nature. So we're not going to be expecting any like real crazy fantastical stuff. But there is some cool, like, in one of the side quests I did, you learn quite a bit about like the Thracian plague and the Slode and all that stuff. So there is kind of a lot of kind of tangentially related stuff like that. That's pretty interesting.
Okay.
So anyway, we got the new zone. There's a new trial. There's the new card game, Tales of Tribute. Crimson says she wants to set up a casino with the card game. It's not a bad idea. I bet there will be like tournaments, like guilds will hold tournaments where people win like, $1 million gold or whatever.
There's definitely a crowd for it, I feel like. It's definitely going to hit a certain crowd.
Yeah.
I haven't played yet, but I definitely, in these next couple of days, I'm going to dive in pretty deep, I think.
You're going to have to teach me how to play, because one of the things I did earlier today is I got in there and I did unlock the card game. I got some decks. I went to the NPC that you have to talk to get into it. And there is a tutorial that you play with an NPC that's supposed to teach you how to play the game. But man, I was paying close attention and I still have no idea how to play this card game. I didn't think it was a very good tutorial at all. And it's very in-depth. It's something I've been reading on the forums and stuff, is kind of a common complaint of people is like it's too complex to be like a little mini game that you put into this other game. Kind of echoing what you were saying before, Davies, about it's like this whole game in and of itself that takes you completely out of ESO. And what a lot of people have been saying is like, man, this is just kind of something I want to do with my friend while we're waiting for a world boss to respawn or something. But the games take way too long for that. Like the world boss will respawn like 3 times before you're done,
Yeah, that's kind of the crazy part. And and I'd mentioned that before. I won't go back into it, but it is not this. It's not really, it's marketed as kind of this side game, but it really is a game inside a game. It's not necessarily a side game. Like the people that are really going to love this card game, they're going to log into ESO to play this card game. Yeah,
exactly. I think they overdid it. I mean, it's neat that they put those kinds of resources and time and effort into it. It's they're giving us our money's worth. I guess you can look at it that way. But it's too much. They overdid it. They should have made it way simpler than it is, I think.
I would just say that this is my glass half full on it, is that it clearly took a lot of resources and a lot of time to make, but it's made now. And I feel like that they can add to it. You know, they can add new decks with later expansions and things like that pretty easily because the foundation's built. And so it's in the game now. Like, it's not going to go anywhere. And so, you know, I look at kind of this time as this was the time that they had to spend a lot of time and resources to make it. But going forward, it's always going to be there. Mm-hmm. And so when they add, you know, when those resources and time gets devoted to other things going forward, it might be kind of nice that this is still there.
Yeah, and I'm sure they'll continue to tweak it, and maybe we'll end up at a place where matches do go a little quicker and that sort of stuff. I can already see there's plenty of ways they could adjust things to make matches go quicker and things like that.
I could honestly see the card game having like its own balance team down the road.
Yeah, oh, I can totally see it. I mean, it seems like it's something they're taking fairly seriously. There's a whole ranked mode and all of that.
Yeah. Yep.
There are also 2 new companions. I don't remember their names. I have not seen them yet. I don't care about companions, so I'm not gonna seek them out.
I hate to admit it, but like, this is how I would explain how I am with these new companions. Like, how you were about the original companions is kind of where I'm at now with these companions. Like, which, you know, I think that part of that is that every companion they come out with, like, is probably gonna be a select group of people that are excited about that race or that character. And you know me, like, if they come out with a Nord, like a drunk Nord companion, that's what I'm looking for. It's the one I need. Man, I'll be excited about that one when it comes out.
Companions would be so much cooler if they just forget about giving them a backstory. You know, we don't have to do the quest or any of that kind of stuff. And they need to be churning these things out, you know, like every single DLC, we need a new, like 4 or 5 companions, maybe even as like a login reward or something. Like, they just need to be dropping them in the crown store constantly, just some new different companion, because the whole appeal of them to me would be like, if there's a companion for every kind of player, no matter who you are, no matter what you like, there's going to be a companion for you. Like, Davis, give me a drunk Nord, you know, Yep. You're all about Nords. And they could simplify it greatly. Like I said, we don't have to have a whole quest where we learn all about them and everything else. Just give them a personality, have a little paragraph to read that lets you know kind of what they're all about, and then they're just your buddy that follows you around, and that's it. You know, that's all it needs to be.
Well, and even if they want to do the whole backstory, I feel like I wish they would have approached it differently. Like, like you said, release a bunch of companions out there so everybody can kind of find one that they like. And then as you go through patches, kind of release new quests for each companion. Just do it kind of like, like make the, you know, instead of like releasing a couple companions with full-fledged backstories, release a whole bunch of companions and just kind of do little quests to the backstories with every patch.
Yeah. One really awesome quality of life thing is this new quick slot wheel. And I forgot about that until the patch dropped and I started messing around with things. I'm like, oh yeah, this new quick slot wheel. This thing's pretty cool. I've already kind of gotten mine all set up. I have like my assistants and everything on one wheel, and I have my mementos on another wheel, and my main quick slot wheel just has the essential kind of like combat related stuff like food and potions and those sort of things. And pretty cool, man. I like this new quick slot wheel.
Yeah, it's pretty fantastic and pretty easy to use, I would say.
Yeah.
You know, we hopped on a little bit last night, and that was like I said, that's the first time I've been on. It was perfect time to come back to the game on launch day. Mm-hmm. But I really liked it. I haven't set up my, you know, all of my wheels, but I'm really excited about this. It actually allows, you know, we had said this before, I will actually use mementos or emotes and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
And I feel like I have hundreds of them, but I don't have room for them, and I'm not going to open up my menu to get to them. But now there are some really cool ones that I feel like that I can actually use and have fun with.
Yeah, so that's the main thing. Is like, I'm actually going to use those things now that I've never even bothered with before because they were too much of a hassle. That's really cool. Another awesome thing, Davis, you were getting this set up last night. You can choose your title screen music now.
Oh, man. That's my favorite thing about the new expansion, is that I can go to that classic login music.
The original.
And I loved it. You were talking to me last night, and I was just jamming out to it. I was just, man, I missed it.
You were just like chilling on that login screen, just jamming.
Here I go. Getting all hyped. It was great.
I mean, every every time they release new login screen music, it's always good. It's always very well composed, and it sounds really awesome. But that original theme, nothing beats it, man. It's just
good stuff.
It just pumps you up so much. I'm ready to get in there. I haven't actually changed mine yet. I have my music turned off because I'm always like listening to Spotify, but I'll turn it on at some point because I gotta get pumped. Grizzly Con has the original theme on his phone to listen to. Yeah, sometimes you just need a dose. You just gotta have it.
Gotta get pumped.
Armory system includes Munda stones now. Should have been there day one, but hey, we have it now. It's cool.
It's done now.
I still have not used the armory system. Haven't touched it at all.
I'm interested. Well, no, you'll just probably wait for some of the add-ons to update, but it is really nice. It is. I'm interested to when the armory system gets to a point where you will actually use that over add-ons. Well, because it's only improving. It's only getting better and better, but.
Yeah, but with an add-on, I can just push a button anywhere, anytime, and it pops up, and I can just do it right there. Like this, I have to visit the station, or I have to get a special merchant guy. Yeah, I just don't know. It is cool. I am happy that it exists, absolutely. No question. So that's cool. There's a bunch of new armor sets, of course. The one that the only one everyone is talking about is that new Oaken Soul Mythic Ring. I think people are still hunting down all the leads for that. I want to say maybe just today people have finally found like the final lead, like where to get it. I was seeing that on the forums, but this Oaken Soul ring is insanity, man.
What a journey.
Yeah, it has changed considerably since the last time we talked about it, and it has been a journey. Over the course of PTS, this thing has taken many forms, and where we ended up with it is... it's something else, man. Let me read this this current iteration to you. So, while equipped, Oaken Soul grants major. All of these will be major, right? Major prophecy, savagery, brutality, sorcery, berserk, courage, force, protection, resolve, and heroism. And then it gives you minor intellect, endurance, and fortitude. Now, I think the last time we talked, it was major intellect, endurance, fortitude, which are your recovery buffs, right? So those were changed to minor, which might sound like a nerf, but it's actually a buff because your potion gives you the major versions of those already. So now this stacks with potions.
Yeah, now you're getting actually just keep doing what you're doing with potions, and you're actually going to have better sustain.
Yeah. And it gives you everything. I mean, your essential buffs are there. You have your major damage buff, your major crit buff, you have your major armor buff. Those are all in there, whether you're magicka or stamina. Doesn't matter. They're all in there. Then you have major berserk, major courage, major force, major protection. I feel like major heroism is one.
That's huge.
Is a big deal.
I just think it's so funny. I feel like that the original idea for this, it was like I feel like it was like the story team, like they had a story to this item and it was tied to lore, and they're like, all right, it's going to do this because it's got this history. And then the balancing team just the lore team and the balancing team are not speaking over this item. The balance team totally took it and they're like, this is what it's doing. Everything you had it doing is gone. It's totally different item now.
One thing that's pretty funny is, we know this because we were following PTS, but for anyone who wasn't following PTS and they're reading the live patch notes for the first time, they actually left out the part where you can't bar swap while this thing is equipped. So you're just reading it like, what is this insane item,
They're going to be so disappointed when they put it on for the first time, too.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the other thing. You cannot bar swap. You are stuck on one bar as long as you're wearing this thing. But why do you even need a back bar? I mean, anything that you're going to do on your back bar, it's covered already. You already have those things in this ring. It does not give any max stats anymore. The original iteration gave all three max stats, like 3,000 something of each, I think it was. Does not give any max stats anymore. It's just all those major buffs and the minor recovery buffs. So that's the new hotness. That's kind of like the new, you put it this way yesterday, Davius, it's the new Malakath, right? It's a new thing that everybody's going to be using. But I don't think it has quite the lasting power or the staying power of Malakath, because I think people will get tired of running 1-bar setups. You know, a lot of people will. And eventually we'll kind of move on to something else. But
well, I think people are going to start, you know, when everybody, right off the bat, everybody's going to be using this 1-bar setup. And I feel like that eventually, exactly what you just said, I feel like eventually people are going to start slowly going back to 2-bar setups to kind of get more, what's the word I'm looking for? More diversity to kind of counter the 1-bar setups. And people are start needing those extra abilities to be able to kind of have more diversity in the builds. And I think you're exactly right. I think that this one, you know, Malakath was just crazy. It's been pretty hugely nerfed since its launch. I think this one probably won't get nerfed, but it'll still be as popular in the beginning, but it'll kind of phase out over time and then probably won't really need a nerf down the road.
Yeah. Malakath was like, you couldn't afford not to use it.
Yes, it really was.
You know, like, you couldn't not use Malakath. This is optional. Like, me personally, I'm probably not going to farm for Oaken Soul. I can see that it's very, very good, but I don't want to run a 1-bar setup. That doesn't sound fun to me. And I think I'm probably not the only one that feels that way. Okay, let's see. There's also been some adjustments to existing sets. We've talked about a lot of them before, but the main two are Draugr Grip and Zon. The Zon monster set both have been pretty significantly nerfed. Zon especially, I feel like they just took it out back, man. You know, like Zon is not in good shape anymore.
You know, Zon had a long run, and it's finally, its time is over. It's finally getting put on the shelf.
Draugr too. Draugr has been like a best-in-slot set for Dragon Knights for a while, and it's probably going to be they're probably going to be moving on from that to something else now as well. But Zon, I feel like the nerf to Zon was pretty significant. I don't have the notes pulled up in front of me right now, but I remember just reading it like, man, what did Zon do to these people to make them so mad? It's like Gilliam was in a battleground and got killed by Zon. He was like, all right.
There was one player that was just torturing him with Zon, and he was like, all right, that's it. It's done. It's over.
Yeah. There's some combat adjustments. We're not going to rehash them all again, but most notably, Dragon Knights are being nerfed. Magicka Dragon Knights specifically, I think, are getting the biggest part of it. But Stam DK some too. The Combustion passive got nerfed quite a bit. I think it procs every 3 seconds instead of every 0.5 seconds. So that's just a major sustain nerf, basically. Engulfing Flames that debuffs targets and makes them take 10% additional flame damage. It's now just 6% additional flame damage. Burning Embers now heals for half the amount of damage done instead of 100% of the damage done. And Coagulating Blood has a big cost increase. So all around, some pretty significant nerfs to Dragon Knights, which I think, you know, I'm not mad about it. Dragon Knights have been pretty strong for long enough. I think they've needed to be taken down a peg or two.
I've got to play with old Lord of Nords to see how it feels, but I mean, he's a Stam DK, so the main thing with him is I'll just have to see where his sustain's at, but I think he'll probably end up being okay.
Yeah, that sustain's going to take a little bit of a hit, but I don't think Dragon Knights are going to be bad by any means. I think especially Stam DKs are probably going to be fine.
It's interesting that Mag DKs kind of got the biggest hit because I feel like that, I don't know. I mean, I guess, you know, with the hybrid world that we're in now, but I feel like that Stam DKs have been kind of more aggressive than Mag DKs.
Yeah, we do a lot of Battlegrounds. I know, like, when it comes to duels, Mag DKs have been, like, number one. Them and Templars have been contending for number one for several months. Stam Sorks are looking really good. They can use Crystal Frags now, or even if they stick with the Crystal Weapon Morph, that got buffed pretty significantly as well. And Overload restores Stamina as well as Magicka instead of just Magicka. So, and Stam Sorks already have been looking really, really nice since the last patch. And a lot of people, like if you read the forums and stuff, a lot of people are predicting a strongly Stam Sork dominated meta this patch. It seems like Stam Sorks and Magicka Templars are the two to be kind of looking out for this patch.
Yep.
Templars did get that bubble nerf, but it's kind of questionable if you can even call it a nerf, actually, because of how they adjusted it. It's still a very good ability. It just doesn't heal for as much. But, I mean, you remember, before the bubble even worked like that, Templars were, like, not killable. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't really matter. Templars are still super strong.
Yeah. They've just got the best. I mean, they've got some of the best built-in heals.
Crimson's asking if there have been any Stamcrow buffs. I don't think so. I don't think any significant changes were made to Stamcrow this patch, either nerfs or buffs.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd say specific like stamina necromancer buffs, but the their tethers I feel like became a lot better. And so
that's true.
And they're zero cost abilities, so I feel like that, you know, stamina and magicka use them, but I do feel like those have become a lot better abilities.
That's true. The tether abilities, they basically give you like better sustain now. Like the sustain, and both of them give you a sustain buff, whether you're magicka or stamina. So that's pretty nice. But I think Stamcrows are in a pretty good spot.
Yeah.
Really. I've been playing a BowCro lately that I'll talk about a little bit later, but it's been in fantastic shape. And you think about this hybridization meta that we're in now, basically all stamina builds have access to these amazing magicka abilities. So like my Stamcrow has been using the Spirit Guardian, which he's always used that, but it heals for a lot now. And I'm using the Resistant Flesh, like the class burst heal, and it's stronger than it is on my Magcrow, actually, on my Stamcrow. No specific buffs or no real significant buffs to Stamcrows this patch, but as of last patch, Stamcrows are doing really, really well because they have so much better survivability, and they were already really hard to kill anyway.
That's the truth.
But yeah, they're doing great. They're doing really great. I strongly recommend playing a BowCro. Super fun. I'll talk about that a little while later. So let's get into this Cyrodiil situation. That's all we have to really say about, you know, the High Isle feature roundup is what I called that segment there. You know, we got some good stuff. Not super stoked on the content, to be honest. You know, I'm just not. But aside from that, I am feeling very hopeful and positive about the game in general. Yeah. And we were talking about this before, like amongst the PvP community, it's almost like the content releases don't really matter. Like we love this combat system so much that if the game works, we're happy.
Yeah.
You know, that's all we really want is for the game to work so we can engage with this combat system that we love so much. And the game's been working pretty good, and because of this Cyrodiil situation, like we were talking about earlier, it's fixed. You know, it's maybe still not perfect. People are still kind of finding some issues here and there, but it's way, way better than it's ever been for the past 6 years at least. And so that's bringing players back in, people who kind of gave up on the game a while ago. They're back. You're seeing these names again. And it's had this really positive effect on the PvP community, and it's had an impact on Battlegrounds as too. As people come here because they heard Cyrodiil is working well now, and then while they're here, like, hey, let's check out some Battlegrounds, and you see these people there as well. In like PvP guilds and stuff like that, spirits are high right now, despite the fact that no one's really interested in this expansion. You know, just plain and simple, they're just not. But spirits are high nonetheless. That's good. So what's going on with Cyrodiil? This is actually pretty funny. So maybe like a month or maybe a little more than a month ago, studio director Matt Furor put up a forum post on the official forums giving everyone a heads up that they're going to be replacing some server hardware. And, you know, just saying this is something they've been planning for a while and it's finally time to do it. It's just kind of a routine maintenance sort of thing. I think like some warranties were expiring on some of this hardware, and so it's just time to replace the hardware. And he made a point in that post to tell everyone, don't expect this to impact performance. This will not impact performance, right? This is just a routine maintenance kind of thing that we have to do. Well, guess what? It majorly impacted performance.
You know, there. You know, I said this last night. It's kind of I was thinking like, you know, you underpromise and overdeliver, but it's like they usually that always ends up well, but it's like they so underpromised and so over-delivered that it almost pushed it into the fact that it's like, they know what's going on over there? Like, do they know?
Yeah,
it's a little too much.
Really
It was a little too much under-promise, over-deliver.
I really think they just weren't sure if it would have an impact or not, so they just didn't want to make any promises that they weren't sure they could back up. But basically, as soon as they took the servers back online, right? They replaced the hardware, put the servers back online immediately. It's like, wow, Cyrodiil works now. And it's still working. I mean, I've been jumping in there 2 or 3 times a week just to go run around and check things out. And man, I'm having a good time. I'm having a good time in Cyrodiil. I've been in some Zerg fights. I've been in some fights with like 50 or more players on the screen. And, like I was saying earlier, there's going to be hiccups here and there. It's not totally perfect, but it's playable. It's playable enough to have a good time.
That's a sentence that hasn't been said about Cyrodiil in, like you said earlier, about 6 years.
Yeah, about 6 years. Insanity. It's something that, I mean, people gave up on. Fangrush, Lord Fangrush, king of ESO in my mind, quit. He quit playing ESO. Hadn't been here in a long time, but guess what? He's back now. He's been back. He's been streaming ESO. I played a Battleground against him like a week or so ago. The dude still knows how to play. Okay, I can tell you that. Yeah. His little break didn't impact that at all. Christopher ESO, if you keep up with him on YouTube, he's back. He's been making build videos again. He's started doing his top 5 PvP commentary videos, which I always super love watching. That dude is so good at PvP commentary, man. He is very talented.
Yeah.
Just if anyone's listening who's kind of getting into PvP and kind of wants to learn how to get good or whatever, Christopher ESO is the content creator that impacted me the most and had the biggest effect on me actually like learning how to be somewhat okay at PvP. Watching his commentary videos, just watching him do these like play-by-play commentary videos where and a lot of it's for other players. Like other players submit videos to him and he's doing these like play-by-play commentaries and he's kind of giving you some insights into the thought process of these players and like why they're doing this in this particular moment and that sort of stuff. And you know how this combat system is. It's so fast-paced that you may not actually be aware that something's even happening as you're watching it, but he's like pointing those things out to you and now you are aware of those things. And you don't even have to really try to remember any of it. It's just like it sticks in your head. And the next time you're in a situation like that yourself, it just kind of like instinct just kind of takes over. So I'm just super glad to see him back because I feel like he's a very valuable part of this community. And it really bummed me out for him to be playing another game and that sort of stuff. So it's cool that he's back. I'm really happy about that. And like I was saying before, this Cyrodiil situation has had an impact on Battlegrounds. Battlegrounds, Dave, that's the main thing that we do. That's kind of the thing that we talk about and spend most of our time doing. And the fact that Cyrodiil is so much better now has had an impact on Battlegrounds because people come in because they hear Cyrodiil is better now and they're jumping into Battlegrounds while they're here. And you're seeing all these names. We have like really short queue times. The matches are nice and competitive, they're pretty well balanced because the queue has enough players to work with to kind of match people up in a good way.
That is incredibly important for Battlegrounds is when you get those good players back because it kind of balances out. Like when you get all those good players back, then the really good players and BGs go against the really good players. Whereas when like all these players were leaving, we were hopping into matches and we were either like, it was either us getting curb stomped or we were winning like, and the other team wasn't scoring a point. It was just, it almost seemed like the matches. Yeah, there wasn't a balance of players. And so that's awesome. I haven't been able to hop in and experience that yet, but I am pumped when you were telling me about that. I'm super excited that we're getting back to that level.
Yeah, we didn't mention this yet, but Davies just got his internet turned on yesterday. You've been without internet for like, what, a month?
Oh, my gosh.
Like literally a month?
Yeah, my joke to you is I didn't know if I knew how to use internet anymore. Like, how do you use it? What do you do with this thing?
You just click the Elder Scrolls Online button.
It was an interesting month. We'll say that.
You'll have to fill us in on what you've been up to. We'll get to that here in just a minute. But yeah, you haven't really had a chance to play at all until yesterday. But back to Battlegrounds, it's really been good. Spirits have been high. People are having a lot of fun in BGs. We still have the no deathmatch queue situation, you know. But besides that, things are pretty great. Things are in pretty good shape. Balance-wise, I really do like this hybrid meta, but with a couple of caveats, I think healing is way too strong. Like, that's the one one of the very few criticisms I have of this meta is like, man, healing is so incredibly strong. Even before we got this hybridization patch, everyone was already starting to say, like, man, cross healing is just out of control, you know?
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of like the pre-Vigor nerf days is what it's reminding me of.
Yeah, like back when Vigor could like splash heal people around you.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that seemed like a long time ago. It is kind of like that, but even more so now because it was before last patch. It was basically you had a bunch of Magicka builds running around that were cross healing everyone. Now it's everybody, Magicka builds and Stamina builds, and the Stamina builds, a lot of times their healing abilities are even more powerful than their Magicka counterparts. You know. So everybody is just throwing around these cross heals to everyone else, even if they're not actually a healer. You know, like my Stamcrow, for example, I'm toting around the Spirit Guardian. You know, the thing has like a 7k tooltip. It's the weaker morph, you know, the one that doesn't heal for as much, but even so, an automatic 7k to everyone or to anyone who needs it every 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And that's not even counting the other healing abilities that I have that I can use.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, it you know, I know a lot of people out there that are BG pros don't necessarily like healers in BGs. Like they you know, I know that if there's two teams that don't have a healer and one team that does, it can skew things. But I really do think BGs are better when you do have healers, because when the meta is in a point where you need those healers to actually keep people alive, I think that's a little bit better than where we're at now, where it's you don't need a healer. Healers are kind of sounds like they're unnecessary right now, and and everybody's keeping each other alive, and so then everybody just you can't get anybody killed. At least if there's a healer on the team that's keeping people alive, you can kind of adjust your strategy, focus the healer down. But if everybody's keeping everybody alive, you can't really do that.
Yeah, my suggestion, if there's any ZOS developers listening, I know you guys listen, I think what I would like to see would be for healing abilities to work like healing proc sets, so that they only scale off of your max stats and not your offensive stats. So I think that would reduce the potency of cross healing in general, and it would also make dedicated healers a lot more desirable as well. Because, like, if you're offensively spec'd, like your main goal as a build is to get kills, then you're probably not going to be stacking your max stats all that high. So you can still use those healing abilities and get something out of them, but they're not going to be nearly as strong as they would be on a dedicated healer that has like 40k max Magicka or whatever, you know. I think that's the way to do it. They're already part way there. They did it with proc sets, so just go ahead and do it with the abilities too. And it's might be largely problem solved. That might not be the only thing that needs to happen, but it would be a nice step in that direction. But I am kind of mixed minds about it, because I do really like the fact that my stamina builds can kind of do it all. Like old Betsy, my Stamplar, she's everything I've ever wanted her to be now. You know, she's just like perfection because she has that support, as well as the same kind of stamina playstyle that she's always had. And I love that character more than I ever have. But despite that, I feel like it needs to be toned down a bit. Betsy needs to be nerfed. Sorry to say it.
You hate to say it, but
hate to say it. So that kind of brings me to this topic of hybridization. Like, let's just check in on how this hybridization meta is feeling. Davis, I know you haven't really gotten to experience it too terribly much, but I can at least share my thoughts. The result for me is kind of like what I was just saying. Like, my stamina characters are awesome. Like, they're the best they've ever been. Everything I've ever wanted them to be. They can do any and everything. But my magic characters are just kind of, nothing's really changed for them. You know, like, technically they have access to these stamina abilities, but I'm not going to use them. Yeah. And so the result has been, like, I just want to play with my stamina characters all the time, and my magicka characters, aside from healers, like my Magcro and my Magden are both healers, and those are the only two magicka characters I've really been playing with at all. It's kind of flip-flopped. Like, you remember I was talking a few episodes ago about how, like, well, if I want to log in with my Stamplar, it's kind of hard to justify that when I have my Magplar that can do everything my Stamplar can do, plus all this great team support.
Yeah.
And now that's kind of reversed, where it's like, well, why would I log in with my Magplar when I enjoy playing with my Stamplar so much more, and they have basically the same support capabilities now?
That's what I was going to say too. Is that we've talked about, we've preached time and time again that magicka characters in BGs are the hybrid. They heal, they support, and deal damage. Well, now in this hybrid world we live in, that's exactly what a stamina character can do, and so. I think there's a little bit of a identity crisis for magicka characters right now, at least in a PvP sense.
Yeah, it kind of leaves me wondering, like, what is the future of my magicka characters? Are they all just going to be turned into healers, or am I going to do something else with them? I really don't know.
A bunch of PvE characters.
Yeah, so we'll see. But I do like the hybridization. I think at the end of it all, I'm happy that this is where the meta has ended up, and we have all this flexibility, rather than having to say, like, well, I want to log in with this character to do these things, or this character to do these things. I can just kind of make one build that has everything, and I do like that.
Yeah, well, and like, if you had a stamina DK back in the day, there were certain abilities. It was like, oh, I like these abilities, but they're on my stamina DK. And you have a magicka DK because you liked these abilities. That doesn't really exist anymore. If you like abilities, you can use it on one character now, whether it's a magicka or stamina.
Just equip Wretched Vitality and Sky's the limit.
Wretched Vitality and any other sets.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want. That set. I'm still all about that set.
The new, your new foundation build is just going to be, it's Wretched Vitality, 1 bar, and Oaken Soul, and then just pick your other 5-piece set.
I've made 3 build videos on YouTube the last 3 weeks. All 3 of them have Wretched Vitality, and all 3 of them have the Gaze of Sithis.
I am curious to see if I know it won't be on all of your characters, but I'm curious to see if Gaze of Sithis on certain characters gets replaced with Oaken Soul.
For me, probably not. I don't think I'm going to use. I don't think I'll use Oaken Soul on any builds. I don't think me personally. I don't think I'm interested in playing a single bar build at all. Who knows? Who knows? My mind will change, but that's just kind of how I feel about it right now.
I believe you 100% on that, because to this day you still do not have a werewolf, and yeah. I solely believe it is due to the limitation of 1 active bar.
Well, it's not just that. For werewolf specifically, it's not just the limitation of 1 active bar. It's just its complete limitation of, like, you can pick what gear you're wearing, but otherwise the build is already decided for you. That's what I don't like. But yeah, I don't like the idea of only having 1 bar, 5 abilities. Like, I like having 2 different bars, and I have these different, like, utility skills to use for different things and stuff like that. Anyway, so I was saying a little bit earlier, probably the meta, what I see most people predicting on forums and stuff is, like, the PvP meta is probably going to be dominated by Magicka Templars and Stamina Sorcerers. It's kind of how it's looking like it's shaping up right now. I don't know if Magicka Templar is maybe accurate. I think just, like, Templar in general, kind of hybridy. Yeah. Probably like some kind of hybrid version of a Templar. And Stamsorks are looking incredibly good. I've seen some mean Stamsorks. I have one of them. My Stamsork is pretty darn mean.
You're playing one of them. You're driving one of those things.
Yeah. Check out Cat Sparrowhawk's YouTube channel. You want to see that build? It's really, really good. I thought I'd mention this. About a week ago, I had a match. I was up against a team that had Gilliam the Rogue on their team.
Gilliam himself.
Old Gilliam the Rogue. He's one of the combat designers for ESO, so there's proof positive the devs do in fact play their game sometimes. Which we already knew that about Gilliam. Before he worked at Zos, he was a streamer and an incredibly good player. Very smart dude. Still to this day, my favorite ESO content creator of all time. It is a shame that we don't get to see him make content anymore, but I am glad that he's working at Zos, and I think he's been doing good things.
It's a good mind working and doing good things.
Yeah, exactly.
How did he do in the match?
He did very well. He's very much like his name implies. He is a rogue. He plays Nightblades primarily, and he's not really much of a team player. He just kind of goes off on his own and does his thing, but he does it very well. He is a very good player.
Nice.
So, but he did not kill me. I did not kill him. He did not kill me.
There you go.
I'm as good as Gilliam the Rogue is what I'm saying.
Get your t-shirt.
I wanted to whisper him and ask him, hey, Gilliam, where are all the special rule sets and weekend events for Battlegrounds? Do you remember that?
I remember being extremely excited for that. That was like the one thing we were hanging on to. Like, well, we don't have death matches anymore, but these special rule sets and weekends could really open the door for things. And then we can't find said door. We cannot find that door.
Where is it? Not a peep of that since then. Like, yeah, so, they reverted back to having a random only queue. And when they announced that on the forums, they were like, but we're going to do these special events and weekend events and all that kind of stuff. And it's going to be cool. So don't worry, guys. Man, there hasn't been a peep of that since then. We were thinking like, okay, yeah, maybe there'll be like a deathmatch weekend and, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Seems like that has totally just been forgotten about and there are no plans whatsoever for that. I just thought I'd mention that. Like I said, Battlegrounds have been fun, but it would be super nice to be able to play deathmatch, or at the very least just have this thing that they talked about where we have these kind of weird modes and stuff, like these special rule sets or whatever. That could be fun.
Well, and I think it would I think it would make for really fun weekends too, in the sense of, think about, I don't know the name of the event anymore because they changed. I think is it White Strikes Mayhem now for the sewer?
I think so. Yeah.
We
can just call it Mid-Year Mayhem.
Yeah,
still.
Mid-Year Mayhem. Think about Mid-Year Mayhem and what it does for the Cyrodiil and the sewers and things like that. And so if you had these weekends, think about you'd be having instant. I would imagine you're gonna have instant Q pops. You're just gonna be hopping in and out of BGs. You're gonna have some new exciting rules. I could see it's a great idea. It just I feel like we should have heard something about it.
What if it was not even a one-time thing? What if just every weekend was deathmatch only, and that's just how the game is? That'd be cool.
I need a moment. I need a moment after you said that. I just need it.
And I feel like that's something they could easily do. You could code that where they don't even have to manually switch it on and off. It's just they set a timer every weekend. It just switches to deathmatch only, and then come Monday morning or whatever, it goes back to random only.
Man, what a great fix that would be for all the problems.
I know. Zos, listen up.
They're listening. They're taking notes. They got a full notepad on after this episode.
Yeah, their whole development team, they have their Monday morning meeting and they listen to the Scrollin podcast and then get to work. You heard them, boys, get to work. Anyway, that's kind of what's going on in Battlegrounds. Basically, things are good. We need to nerf healing a little bit. Hybridization is cool, but it's kind of making me not so hot on my magic builds for right now. But in general, I'm having a pretty good time in BGs again. Davis, you need to catch us up on what's been going on with you, man. Why have you been without internet for the past month? Where have you been? What's going on?
Man, just
talk to me, Davis.
Just riding a roller coaster that I call life.
That roller coaster. I've heard of that one.
Man, it's just been crazy. We've talked about this in episodes, but really, it's the last 6 months have just been complete whirlwind. In the last 6 months, new job, new city, new house, all the things, and kind of working all those things into certain segments of those 6 months. It was all right, start the new job. And, then we started, looking for the new house, getting situated in a new city, and then actually getting said house, doing the moving. It has been It's been a wild ride, man.
Yeah.
I listened to you and your move and change the job, and I went, hey, that sounds like a lot of fun. I got to do this too.
Oh yeah, fun is the word I would use. Totally.
It's pretty crazy. I mean, I was thinking about this. This is the first time that I've ever lived in a different city than the city I was born and raised in. I'm officially lived in 2 cities in my entire life now.
Wow.
Pretty well traveled, I would say.
It's been a pretty positive change, though, hasn't it?
Absolutely. I honestly couldn't be happier. Me and the family couldn't be happier with the new setup. You know me well enough to know that I'm literally kind of living out a dream scenario.
Yeah.
And so
you were telling me all about it last night, and we'll spare listeners the details so that you don't get stalked or whatever. But you just have such a perfect setup now, dude. Like you're just like living the dream. It's so cool.
It is. Stress levels way down, peacefulness way up. Things are good. It's going really well. Couldn't be happier.
Basically dream job, dream house, dream life, like
dream city.
Hey, are you like looking to adopt any kids or anything? Or I think I'm older than you, but I can still I can call you dad.
Yeah, we can make it work. We can make that. Totally can make it happen. No, it's been awesome. Couldn't be happier with it. Having to pinch myself a couple times a day as I go through the day, but it's been fantastic. And internet fully up and running as of yesterday.
Fiber. Got that fiber.
That's the crazy. Yeah, the crazy thing is that I live much further away, I would say, than I used to kind of be in the middle of a city. Now I'm much further away, and I have better internet somehow. I don't know how I flip-flopped that, but internet is fantastic. Great speeds, fiber internet. It's been awesome. A month without internet, it was pretty interesting. Ran a lot of
you had to talk to your family or something. Like,
we played catch a couple times.
Oh, brutal, dude.
Man,
we're trying to keep it positive here on the podcast,
all right? It's been good. Excited to get going. Man, super excited to hop into ESO last night. We snuck a BG in. That was fantastic.
We did. I thought it was great. You were talking like, all right, I'm going to be pretty rusty. Keep your hopes down. And you did really well. You had a really good match.
It went pretty well. It was a good match. It was a good one to hop in, get back on, and then hop out. Felt good all night about it. But yeah, the new setup it's great. I even, in celebration of the new setup, you'll be excited about this. Went ahead and ordered my second monitor display. Going to be running the 2 displays now.
Now your life really is perfect.
that was the final missing piece.
Dream job, dream house, a second monitor.
A second monitor display. It's all happening now.
Dude, I'm telling you though, you're going to wonder how you ever lived without a second monitor. Game changer.
I really feel like I will, especially, I'm sure the game is huge too, because you run the game on a monitor and then can do other things. That's going to be huge. But even just running, when we do these podcasts and stuff, we have a lot of windows open and things like that. And so it's going to be that'll be a nice little update. And you were kind of talking with expansions, especially me and you, very PvP focused players, BGs. There's not a lot usually to expansions. We'll go through the quests and it's enjoyable and we still do PvE, but it's not, our main priority. But the biggest thing for us on the expansions, I feel like, is just what new sets are out there and are we going to use them? And so
what are the balance changes?
Yeah, balance changes, or what do we need to do to kind of adjust characters and things like that. So, and I've talked about it. I can't remember what episode I was on last, but I talked about my new build with Bear Claw. He's going to be using the Oaken Soul. He'll still stick with it through its wild ride. I think it's still going to work out really well for him. So I'm going to have a new Stamina Warden build, old Bear Claw the Nord. I'm excited about that. Excited to get back in, start grinding that up. It's going to be good. Now, I will say this, with being a month away from the game, you know, one thing is kind of that is kind of interesting that I've noticed about this expansion is that I feel like the last couple of expansions, that month before the expansion, we've kind of lightened our play a little bit because we're kind of more prepping for the big changes coming out. But with this expansion, I feel like there's very minor changes, you know, like I don't think there's going to be a huge meta shift or huge adjustments in, you know, combat or anything like that.
Yeah, it's just that Oaken Soul Ring is the only thing that's like really shaking things up big time, but otherwise it's kind of the same meta we've been in for the past few months.
Yeah, and so this is I got a couple questions for you now. This is like my questions for you to catch me up.
Oh, I was ready for questions. Okay, all right.
All right. So we already talked about this one a lot, but I kind of want to dive to it even deeper, if we will. Is that I haven't had a chance to experience the Cyrodiil fix. I know that it's, you know, we even had Crimson earlier. Like, what, Cyrodiil fix? Like, that doesn't make sense. You
still don't believe me, do you?
I don't. I'm trying. I mean, I want to believe you, but I just don't. I just can't even imagine Cyrodiil fix. I don't know if I remember ever playing in Cyrodiil when it was fixed, but I wanted to kind of get like some deets. Give me some details. Like, you've been in Cyrodiil, you've done combat, you've been in there, you've been in a Zerg fight.
Yes. And
it worked. You were doing abilities, you were bar swapping, you were healing while doing damage.
I was even animation canceling, if you can believe that.
My mind's blown. My mind is blown.
Animations seemed like nice and fluid. Yeah, I mean, like I was saying earlier, I was in a Zerg fight with probably, I would estimate 50 players or more.
That's crazy.
You know, like I keep saying, I don't want to give the impression that it's flawless. It's not flawless. Sure. You know, you run into some hiccups, but I feel like with like a 50-player Zerg fight, there's going to be some hiccups, you know.
Absolutely.
But it is playable, and you can roll dodge, you can bar swap, cancel, your abilities fire, your light attack weaves. It works. I mean, plain and simple, it works.
That's just the dream right there. Is an actual Zerg fight where everybody's actually fighting and actually, like, man, I'm just so pumped to test that out and see an actual Zerg fight where people are actually casting different abilities. And, you know, I feel like that you can actually get some momentum from different sides of the fight. Like, there's so much more strategy to it when there's actual gameplay in the Zerg fight.
Yeah, I know people always complain about Zergs and stuff, but I like Zerg fights. I really do. What I like to do is Zerg surfing, which I think of Zerg surfing as like, you're not actually up in the middle of like the big ball of people that are just dogpiling on each other. You're kind of on the outer perimeter, picking off like smaller skirmishes on like the periphery of the big fight. You know, that's kind of how I like. I'm following the Zerg kind of from afar and picking off little fights here and there. I like to do that.
Like you said, I know people like to complain about Zergs and things like that, but it really is. I mean, it's one of the things that makes this game so cool is that it's an actual PvP war going on. Like, when you come up on two Zergs going at it and over a keep or something like that, and you just look at a distance, I mean, there's siege flying everywhere, and there's people fighting and dying and jumping off tower. I mean, it's pretty awesome to just see the fight. I mean, it takes a while, and sometimes they're a grind and things like that, but, you know, some of the best Cyrodiil stories we have are from massive Zergs just running right into each other, and these crazy fights that ensue, and momentum, you know, going back and forth and things like that. So,
yeah. And it's fun, and it makes the horse simulator, element a lot more bearable because it's going to be worth it. You know, you might have a long horse ride, but you're going to get there and there's going to be some fun action. Your abilities are going to work. You're going to be able to get in there. And you're not going to have to ride as far because performance is so much better. So many more players are in there now. Like Cyrodiil is pop locked a lot of the time these days. So there's a lot more action to be found. And then when you get there, you can actually enjoy it because things are working more or less.
That's wild. I don't mean to say I don't believe you, but I'm just gonna have to see this to believe it. But I am so excited. Like,
we'll have to get a goon squad going. Get a few people together, jump into Cyrodiil, get like a little 6-player squad, small group, and see what we can get into.
Take a keep, throw the goon's name up there.
Mm-hmm.
Got to make it happen. So this is kind of a follow-up to that question, but you had mentioned, Fang Rush is back, Christopher ESO. Like, do you know, do you know off the top of your head some of the other big-time major players that have come back?
Not that I mean, I really don't keep up with a lot of content creators, to be honest. Those are just two that I do, and I've seen that they've come back. I have seen a lot of names that aren't necessarily, streamers or YouTubers, but they're just very good players that are well known amongst the PvP community. You know what I mean? Like, just people just know that they're very good players, and I've seen a lot of those names come back.
That's awesome.
I don't want to say their names on the podcast, but
all right. So I got my final question for you.
Okay. So
kind of what I was saying earlier, like this is kind of a unique expansion, and there's really not a bunch of huge changes happening. Mm-hmm. The meta is probably, we can assume, is going to be pretty much the same, except for Oakensoul kind of diving in. But my question to you is that are you just going status quo with your builds, or do you have certain characters that you know that you're going to adjust the builds or change the builds around?
Basically, I'm going through all of my stamina characters and putting Wretched Vitality on them.
That's not this expansion.
Yeah. No, there's nothing. I don't think there's anything specific to this update that is changing anything about my build plans. It's all from the last update when all the hybridization was implemented. I'm kind of still operating on that.
Old Betsy and Wretched Vitality is all you need in ESO. That's all you need.
Honestly, seriously, man. Betsy, my Stamplar with Wretched Vitality is perfection. It is a perfect build. I love it. And my BowCro, too, is not too far behind. He's actually a very similar kind of toolkit that he has. He's using Wretched Vitality as well. And he's basically kind of like a ranged version of my Stamplar, right? Like, he has a similar kind of like contribution to the team, a similar kind of healing toolkit. Does a similar amount of damage, but it's just long range instead of melee.
That's pretty great. It worked out well last night. It was a good, it was a fun match for sure.
Yeah.
I'm excited to be back. I mean,
we're excited to have you back.
Yeah, I'm excited to be back. Have internet again. It's nice.
Well, I've been fully back into ESO. There for a while, I was all about Elden Ring. There's about 2 solid months where all I could play was Elden Ring, and I still think that is one of the best games ever made. So good. But my appetite has been sated, more or less. I think I'm pretty much done. I'll probably continue to dip in and out here and there, but I'm all the way back into ESO now. I've been playing Battleground after Battleground. I've made 3 build videos so far that I've put up on YouTube over the last few weeks. If that says anything about, just kind of how much I've been back into it. I've been kind of dusting off a bunch of my old characters, just trying to see how things are feeling, who I'm kind of vibing with right now. I've played with my Magblade, my MagDK, my Magden, my MagCro, Stamcro is the one I've kind of landed on lately that I've really been all about. And I've already made his video, I've posted it and everything, but I'm still just like, I just want to keep playing with this dude, it's just been a lot of fun. So I'll talk about him for a little bit here. Bobby Bobango is his name. He's my BowCro.
Great name.
His build is Witch Knight's Defiance as a front bar set with a sharpened bow, Wretched Vitality on the back bar with a great sword, 3 pieces agility on the jewelry, and the Sithis helm. It's 3 divines, 4 well fitted. The jewelry is 1 infused with a stamina recovery glyph and 2 swift with weapon damage glyphs on both of those. He's a wood elf. He's using the warrior mundus, sugar skulls, tri-stat potions. So basically that's the build. If you want more details, watch the build video on YouTube. A little side note. Speaking of build videos, I kind of wanted to talk about this for a second. I would like to get some people's input on this because I've had this thing I've been doing with build videos lately where I'm trying to make them as short as they possibly can be while still giving all the information that you need to make the build and to understand how to play it and everything. So like this video I made for my BowCro here, it is 4 minutes, 2 seconds long. It's a 4 minute long build video.
New cat record.
That's got to be the shortest build video ever made, right? Like, I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen a build video shorter than 20 minutes.
There's going to be a day years down the road when it's going to be a kit 90-second build video. BowCro in 90 seconds.
I think like 5 minutes is a good goal. Like, I mean, this one's shorter than that, 4 minutes, but I think my idea is I'm going to be shooting for like 5 minutes or less for build videos, while not skimping on anything. Like, all the information is there, everything you need to know to put that build together. I have some information about like defensive considerations that you need to keep in mind. I give a demonstration of the offensive combo, anything that's just important to understand how the build works. It's all in there. But it's just nothing else. All the fat is cut out, and it's just, here's the information. Thank you. Goodbye. Because that's the kind of videos I want to see, right? When I go to YouTube and look for a Magic and Nightblade build or whatever, I don't want to have to scrub through 10 minutes of like, well, I first discovered this set when yada, 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 and all these different explanations and all the different possibilities of different things. I just want to know, like, what is the build?
Tells you where in the game to find it instead of, just looking up where
you can just Google that stuff. Yeah, basically that is kind of my rule. Anything that the person can just Google, I'm not going to bother talking about that, Anyway, I would like to hear feedback from people. Do you think it's a good thing to have like such a short, condensed version of a build video, or would you like to see more details and more explanations about things? I would like to hear feedback on that, because I'm making a video based on the kinds of videos I myself would be interested in, but maybe not everyone feels that way. So give me some feedback. scrollinpodcast@gmail.com or catsparrowhawk@gmail.com, or just comment on one of the videos. I'll get it one way or another. I do want to hear what people have to say about that. But BowCro, man, you got to make a BowCro, guys. Go ahead and make one. It's awesome.
Good times with the BowCros.
Another thing I just wanted to mention really quick, I've noticed that feature that we got a while back where when you purchase something from a guild trader, it shows up in your mail right away, except not really. It actually does show up right away now. Like, I've noticed lately, I'm not sure exactly when it happened, but now, like, 10 for 10. Every single time you buy something from a guild trader, in my experience so far, it does show up immediately, and it's right there.
This is going to be another thing that I have to see to believe.
Yeah. So that's just something I wanted to mention there. So we're getting close to the end here. I wanted to make a couple of small announcements here. One is the podcast. I'm going to start putting it back up on YouTube again. I used to do that a while back, and then I stopped, but it's going to start showing up on there again. So if that's your preferred listening platform, you're a weirdo, but that will be an option.
It sounds like your goons recruitment.
They'll be on there. I'm going to continue to make build videos, and I think I'm going to try my hand at some other kind of videos, ESO related videos. But I'm open to ideas for that people might have, of kinds of videos they might like to see. I think I'm going to try my hand at maybe doing some like Battlegrounds commentary videos. I'm not going to be as good as Christopher at PvP commentary, but I've kind of been in my mind sort of working on some ideas of like, what would be my version of a commentary video. I'm not going to try to do it the way Christopher does or the way someone else does. I kind of have my own methods and my own things and ways I would do it, and I think that's something I might try, specifically Battlegrounds. Christopher and other people, they're very Cyrodiil focused. And I feel like having some commentary, some thought processes as it relates specifically to Battlegrounds and small team play and that kind of stuff could be valuable. That's an idea I had. I also had an idea of like this is something I've actually been kicking around for a long time, and I really want to try to make this happen. But I want to do spotlights on players like Uncle Sam, for example, who is an incredibly good player, very well known amongst the PvP community, but he's not a content creator. People at large, they don't know who Sam is unless they're in the PvP community already. So it'd be cool to kind of shine a spotlight on this amazing unsung hero, one of the best players I know. Here's their build. Here's kind of some tips from them. basically make a build video the way I make my own build videos, but it's this person's build. And it's their gameplay demonstrations that you're seeing and that kind of stuff.
It's a cool idea.
Yeah. And there's a few other players I'd like to hit up and kind of just showcase them and their talents. People need to see these amazing players. Anyway, that's kind of my idea. Who knows? That may not even end up happening. It's just something I want to try.
And definitely you'll have some videos with home design and furnishings, as well as companion quest and leveling.
That'll be the stream. If I do streaming, it'll be housing streaming, housing and fashion for the stream. But yeah, I would scrollinpodcast@gmail.com. I'm definitely open to any suggestions for types of videos that you think would be cool to see. Maybe stuff that you're not seeing a lot of from other video creators or whatever. Scrollinpodcast@gmail.com. Let me know what you think. Also, send us an email at scrollinpodcast@gmail.com if you have any suggestions for the show, things you'd like to hear us talk about, or if you just want to hear us say hello. You want to say, Davius, welcome back. Congratulations on your perfect life. We're totally not jealous at all. Not even a little. Scrollinpodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. We also have a guild on PCNA. We are called Stoon's Goons. Best named guild on the server, and it is also the official guild of the Scrollin Podcast. If you'd like to be a member of Stoon's Goons, hit us up, scrollinpodcast@gmail.com. If your guild roster is full, that's okay. We can get you on the Discord. Send us an email, and I'll send you a Discord invite. That's the real home of the guild.
I was just going to say, we're rapidly growing. We got a new member yesterday.
We got a new member yesterday, guys.
It's rapid growth.
That's like a 15% increase to our total numbers.
We're seeing a 50% rise in
two
day-over-day growth.
Shout out to Dr. Professor for adding 2 new goons.
Dr. Professor, just head recruiter.
But the point is, the Discord is the real home of the goons. If you're in the Discord, you're a member of the guild as far as I'm concerned. But if you want to be in the guild in game as well, hey, let's do it. Let's make it happen. Crimson, we have had a guild since before I knew you. We've always had a guild. It's called, if you didn't catch it, it's called Stoon's Goons. Yeah, we plug it every single episode, so I know you listen all the time, obviously.
Your plugs, some of your plugs are not great, so maybe there is some confusion.
Well, I'll level with you, Crimson. The guild in-game, it doesn't seem all that active. No, I'm just being honest. It's not, it doesn't really, like the chat and stuff isn't all that active in-game. All the communication and the organizing and all that stuff, it really all happens in the Discord. Whether you're in the, if we're trying to get together and group up and do something in Discord, I'm not running to check the guild roster first to make sure you're in there. You know what I mean? So, Stoon's Goons, scrollinpodcast@gmail.com. Davis, what else you got? Anything else?
I think that's it.
We're going to call it right there, guys. Thank you very much for listening. It's good to be back. We'll see you next time.